Good evening, everyone. Welcome to your 2018 statewide MTN elections. I'm Janelle Slade.
And I'm Jay Cohn. It's a big night across Montana. Here's what's happening at this hour. Yes, it's election night. We'll be joined by analysts from both sides of the aisle as we take a closer look at these numbers that are pouring in now.
For the race in the U.S. House seat between Kathleen Williams and Greg Gianforte, we will check in with both campaigns ahead.
But we begin first tonight with Montana's race for the U.S. Senate, where incumbent Democratic Senator Jon Tester is trying to stave off a challenge from his Republican challenger, Matt Rosendale.
We'll also be joined by analysts tonight from both sides of the aisle to break down those numbers.
First, we're going to start with the Senate race. Let's take a look at the numbers in this Senate race that are coming in. Now, these are early results. We have about 100,000 votes in Montana that have been tallied so far. And in the early going, it is Senator Jon Tester opening up a 14,000 vote lead over Republican challenger Matt Rosendale. You see the numbers there, 55% to 42% in this Senate race that drew President Trump to Montana no less than 4 times, most recently just this past weekend in Gallatin County.
Republican candidate Matt Rosendale is gathered with his supporters in Helena.
And that's where we find MTN's Jonathan Ambarian stationed tonight. Jonathan, how are things there?
Yes, thank you. I'm here out at the Delta Colonial Hotel in Helena. Things have really started to heat up here in terms of the crowd. People are coming in here. They're paying a lot of attention right now to the results coming in on the nationwide scale. There were some good results for Republicans here that just came in on Fox News. Some people were noticing. I don't know if you can see behind me, but Matt Rosendale's actually been in the room for about a little over half an hour, going around shaking hands, saying hello to his supporters. No sign yet that he's planning on making a speech. Obviously, still very early results. Of course, as you mentioned, Commissioner Rosendale got a lot of national support for this race. President Trump took a lot of interest in this race, coming to the state 4 times. And of course, the supporters here in the room, about 100 of them so far, will be hoping that as more results come in, we'll see strong results turnout from the Republican base. But as I said, right now it's pretty calm. Everyone's sort of waiting to see how things develop as we go through the night. Although we'll be watching it from here. I'm in Helena, Jonathan Ambarian, MTN News.
All right, thank you very much, Jonathan. So they're still waiting for Matt Rosendale to come out, and they're hoping that the blue wave that was expected in parts of the country is staved off on the other side of the Mississippi. We'll see. You saw the latest results with Jon Tester with up to a 14,000 vote lead. Our chief political reporter Mike Dennison is camped out with the Tester campaign in Great Falls tonight. Let's check in now with Mike. Good evening, Mike.
I'm here at the Holiday Inn at the Tester campaign event tonight. We just had a big cheer come up from the crowd. They saw on CNN that the House is projected, the Democrats are projected to win the House, so a big cheer for that. Of course, what they're really watching are the returns in the Tester race. Tester versus Matt Rosendale. The early returns have Tester up about 55 to 42%. Of course, what the key is where those votes are coming from. A lot of those are all absentee ballots coming in early from Yellowstone County and from Lewis and Clark County, Missoula County, Silver Bowl County, and a few other assorted counties. The good news for Tester is in Yellowstone County, those first counts show him losing by just a couple points to Rosendale. To win, Tester has to run even or just lose a little bit in Yellowstone County, so I'm sure he's buoyed by that. We also looked at the returns coming in from Lewis and Clark County, which of course is Helena. Tester was up 2-1 with those early votes, those early absentee ballots. That's a very good sign for him. Lewis and Clark County is often considered to be a Democratic county, but it was actually won by Donald Trump in 2016. Elsewhere in the state, of course, Missoula, Butte, Democrats are doing well there, as you would expect. Those are the big counties that have come in so far. I think Tester has to be looking pretty good at this point. This crowd is feeling it. They're happy, of course, but it's still very early in the night. We're expecting still to have a close race. Back to you in the studio, Jay.
All right, thank you very much, Mike. So maybe the calm before the storm there in Great Falls, but certainly the Tester campaign feeling good about the early numbers.
Now on to the U.S. House race. Both Greg Gianforte and Kathleen Williams make Bozeman their home, and both are huddled there tonight. We'll see Kathleen Williams right now with 51% of the vote at this hour to Greg Gianforte's 46%.
And Eleanor Swanson, the Libertarian, with just 3% of the vote. Again, you heard Mike tell you where the latest numbers are coming in from. Some of these are from Gallatin County, a majority of them, again, from Yellowstone and from Lewis and Clark County. And Kathleen Williams has done quite well in Lewis and Clark County. She did in the primary. It was one of the big reasons she pulled off the upset. She is ahead, but you've noticed compared to the Tester-Rosendale numbers, Kathleen Williams not as far ahead of her Republican challenger as John Tester is. So this, again, is going to take a while before we get down to the nitty-gritty on this.
MTN's Caitlin Corbett is with the Gianforte campaign in Bozeman. Let's check in with her now.
I'm Caitlin Corbett here at the Hilton Garden Inn, where U.S. Congressman Greg Gianforte came out moments after the polls closed to address the audience, which includes U.S. Senator Steve Daines. He took a few moments to acknowledge some of the Republican candidates also running for office.
It's great to have a terrific slate of candidates running for office, and I just want to take a minute to recognize them all. And can we give them a round of applause? Really appreciate it. All we have for now is enjoy the food and enjoy each other's company, and we'll be back as we have results. Thank you.
Now, early results are showing a pretty tight race between Gianforte and U.S. House candidate Kathleen Williams. We'll be back here tonight as more results pour in. Now let's toss it over to Medeiros Babb, who's following Williams' campaign in Bozeman.
I'm Medeiros Babb here at the Rialto in downtown Bozeman with the communications director for Kathleen Williams. The first results have come in. What are you thinking?
Well, we're excited, but we're cautiously optimistic. A lot of Montana still has to count its ballots, the Highline, Indian Country, a lot of smaller rural counties, so there's still a lot more ballots to be counted.
She has taken the early lead. Is that exciting going into the rest of the night?
Well, of course it's exciting, but there's a lot of folks out there that still need to have their ballots counted. There's a lot of people online still waiting to cast their ballots also. So we have to wait for those people to cast their ballots and also for all the other counties to put in their results.
Are you just optimistic but just waiting out to see what will happen because there are a lot of results to come in?
That's right. Well, we always knew this race would be close, and so that's exactly what's happening tonight. And with all the counties and precincts yet to come in, we'll just have to see what happens.
Well, thanks for joining us, Neil. We will be here for the rest of the night until the final results come in, so stay with us. In Bozeman, Medeiros Babb, MTN News.
All right, thanks, Medeiros.
Our results are now coming in for the initiatives as well. I-185, the $2 tobacco tax to fund expanded Medicare. Let's take a look at those numbers. You can see right now, yes, voting 54% with about 33,000 votes so far coming in. No with 28,000 votes, but that's the 46%.
Again, about 100,000 votes in Montana counted out of what we're expecting to be between 500 to 600,000 before the night is all through. Let's move now to Initiative 186, the mining reclamation plan. It's almost exactly flip-flop from the Initiative 185 numbers, although 186 is now expanding. The no votes have the plurality right now. 55% of the people voting against Initiative 186, 45% voting in favor. MTN's John Amy is in the mining city of Butte to tell us about these initiatives and the potential impact on our state.
What can you tell us, John?
There's two controversial initiatives on the ballot which will have statewide implications. Initiative 185 will raise taxes on all tobacco products, and that money will be used for Medicaid expansion in the state. Now, opponents say that this tax will not be able to pay for itself. The other initiative, I-186, hits very close to home in Butte as it puts new cleanup standards for all hard rock mining operations in the state. If passed, the Department of Environmental Quality could deny permits to mining operations if they can't show their cleanup efforts meet the standards. The mining operation here in Butte, Montana Resources, is strongly opposed to this initiative.
This has nothing to do with clean water. Montana's anti-degradation statute guarantees that no new mine could ever degrade Montana water quality. That's an existing law. So when they say this is about clean water, it is obviously not about clean water.
And voters in Montana will be keeping a close eye on these initiatives.
All right, thank you very much, John. Not to be overlooked is the amount of money spent on both of these initiatives. Initiative 185, over $30 million spent on that, the most expensive initiative ever in the state's history. And the mining reclamation plan, the Montana Mining Association poured in $2 million, and the proponents over $1 million, very much at the last end of that, trying to confuse voters both sides. Looks like voters were a little confused, but we'll see. The final word still not in.
Coming up, we'll take a closer look as the numbers roll in and break it down with our political analysts.
But first, our chief forecaster, Bob McGuire, hasn't forgot about the weather. He delivers your statewide weather forecast. Stay with us.
Now, here's your Storm Tracker weather forecast with Chief Forecaster Bob McGuire.
Good evening, everybody. We're going to start off tonight in Butte, and as we can see here, we still got a little snow in some of the ground area, and also look at the streets. They're a little icy there, yeah. Had a lot of new snow up in the mountains today. Take a look at this picture. This comes to us from Bozeman. So it looks in the college. It picked up quite a bit of snow. You can see in the parking lots there. And over in Billings, just a little bit of light snow. You can see here by some of the lights out there by Dealer Park, and also by, I believe it's Dalis Stadium. You can see some of the snow out there. Yeah, not much, just a light dusting, kind of a drift, not even a drift, kind of a skiff of snow across the Billings area. Here are some of the other places we've seen some heavier snow. 8 inches of snow up at Wilkesal. Cutbank had 5.5. Anaconda 5 inches. 4.4 over Livingston. Bozeman had 4.3. And we did hear up at Big Sky, they've had 24 inches of new snow up in the higher elevations just in the last 48 hours. So the snow is really flying up there. Our current temperatures right now in the teens in eastern Montana, into the 20s and 30s out in the west. These were our reported highs for the day. A lot of 20s across eastern Montana. But once you get to Billings, we got up to 30 degrees, and we kept the 30s and 40s all the way through the rest of the western half of Montana today. And as far as precipitation, all of this came down as snow today across the state. But you'll notice Livingston was the big winner here at 0.43 of an inch of snow. A lot of snow in that region. Elsewhere, you see the places like over at Butte and Bozeman, they had about 1/4 inch. Everyone else generally a little bit less than that when you melt down the snow, and that's what you get for a precipitation total. As we move on, let me show you, we still have a winter weather advisory through tomorrow morning for anywhere from 1 to 4, 2 to 7 inches of snow up by Kalispell, 3 to 6, and by Great Falls in towards Lewistown, maybe about 1 to to 2 inches of snow there. Everywhere else, we're not expecting a great deal of snow because it's all hanging around the extreme western part of the state. You can see the scattered snow showers that moved through south central Montana earlier. That stuff's now in Wyoming, but look at the snow moving in from the northwest. That continues to make its way in towards the Great Falls area. And as you'll see, it's just following the jet stream. It's going to race right in and race right out. We're not expecting a great deal of additional snow out of that. And so as far as snowfall amounts, here's what we're going to see: anywhere from 2 to 3 inches of snow in the west, maybe 1 inch at Dillon. Billings could pick up maybe another inch of snow in Wyoming, about 2 to 3 inches of snow in those areas. And so here's what you'll see tonight: temperatures cooling back down to the teens and 20s out west. Missoula about 30 degrees. Elsewhere in the east, also into the teens. Places like Miles City would be 13, 10 degrees over at Sydney. Billings about 16 tonight. These are some of the coldest temperatures we have seen so far this season, so it's going to be very frosty out there. And it looks like tomorrow morning we could still see more slick streets again across most of western Montana. Tomorrow's highs only into the 20s and 30s in the east, 32 over in Livingston. Billings about 28 in the far west, about 26 at Helena. Great Falls 20. Over in Missoula, you'll see about 37 degrees. Bozeman about 31. More scattered snow showers expected out in those areas. So what about for the next several days? Well, let's take a look at your next 3 days ahead.
Welcome back, everyone, to Election Night 2018. Let's take another look at the latest numbers in your top races in the U.S. Senate race. We'll take a look at Senator Jon Tester with 54% of the votes so far to Matt Rosendale's 43%.
Janelle, if you look at the numbers here, the gap is closing a little bit. Senator Tester was up by some 15,000 votes, say like 15 minutes ago. Now it's down to some 13,400 votes. We're understanding that the New York Times has projected Tester the likely winner. They haven't projected him as the winner, but the New York Times saying Tester likely to win this. They have him at +4 by the time the night is over. We'll see if that holds up. Meanwhile, in the U.S. House race, things are also tightening up. We saw Kathleen Williams with an earlier lead, much larger than it is now, 61,366 votes. 50% of those tallied so far for Kathleen Williams, while Greg Gianforte now just 3 percentage points behind with just over 58,000 votes. And both the Libertarian candidates in both the top races pulling about 3%. The New York Times also projecting that Gianforte at the end of the night will win by perhaps 4%. We will see how these numbers come out. So we saw the numbers of Montana, about 150,000 votes in the state now counted out of some 500,000 plus.
Now on to the initiatives. I-185, the tobacco tax to fund expanded Medicaid services in Montana. Montana saying yes to it at this point tonight, 54%, with about 33,000 votes to about 29,000 votes saying no.
On Initiative 186, the new cleanup standards for hard rock mines, voters rejecting this right now. 56% of those votes tallied are against Initiative 186, while 44% are in favor. We now welcome our political analysts on the left. We have Brandon DeMars over here and Jake Eaton, the Republican political consultant, joining us tonight. Jake, you saw the numbers in the Senate race. Your thoughts? Matt Rosendale hasn't come out yet, but you said the New York Times might be the first time you're going to agree with them on
This
anything.
might be the first time with where they're at. I mean, we knew this race was going to be very close. The Democrats knew this race was going to be very close. That's why they spent, untold hundreds of thousands of dollars to keep the Green Party off of the ballot, because they knew that this was just going to come down to a handful of votes, and that looks like what we're on track for tonight.
Brandon, are you comfortable at this point for the tester, if you're in the tester camp right now?
I think they should be feeling pretty optimistic. Looking at this lead they've got here early, and then the outstanding votes still. We've got Missoula and Gallatin County have yet to report quite a bit, and those are generally Democratic strongholds that should put them over the top.
As far as voting issues, you were hearing long lines in Gallatin County, you were telling me.
Yep, not too long ago, I heard there were long lines still in Gallatin County. So folks, as long as they're in line, can continue to vote, of course. But that's kind of the same across the state. We're hearing just record-breaking turnout.
All right, now let's head over to Russ Riesinger for more political analysis tonight. Russ.
I'm joined by Dr. Jason Atkins. He's a political professor at MSU Billings, and we're starting to see those numbers come in now in Montana. Still got a long ways to go, but anything surprising at all to you at this point?
One thing that's surprising, I think, is Williams in the early lead. But like we said, we still have a lot of counties that are left to count, a lot of rural counties. I think one thing that Kathleen Williams, though, has going for her is that Gallatin County still has not reported, and Missoula County still has a lot of outstanding precincts.
We'll wait and see what happens there. We've been talking about the turnout, one of the best turnouts, probably the best turnout we've ever had for a midterm. What do you think is the driving force behind that?
It's Trump. According to the AP, about 60% of voters in Montana thought the election was a referendum on President Trump. We don't know the split, if they supported or opposed the president, but clearly that drove people in their voting choices.
All right, we're going to send it back to Jay and Janelle now.
All right, thank you, Russ. Jake Eaton, the Democrats are projected to recapture the control of the House in Washington. Projected that was to be expected. Not the blue wave, though, that many Democrats were hoping for tonight.
No, I think this is really a failure for the Democrats nationally. If we look back, historically speaking, picking up 50, 60 seats, that would have been a wave. That's what Republicans did in 2012. Picking up some 1-2 seat majority, that's got to be a real disappointment for them. To put that in comparison, in 1984, when Ronald Reagan went on to win 49 states in the Electoral College, only losing one state to Walter Mondale, Republicans still lost 24 seats in the House. So for them to kind of have this anemic showing, I think, just says a lot about where people are. And this is just kind of how congressional races tend to go.
We're seeing the congressional race in Montana tighten up. It looks like the New York Times believes that Greg Gianforte, by the end of the night, is going to pull this off. So I guess the House will go to the Democrats, if the New York Times is correct, without a vote from Montana as far as the Democrats are concerned.
It looks like that's what they're projecting, but again, there's still a lot of votes out. It's very early at this point, so I think there's a lot of room for movement in that race still at this point.
How disappointed are you at this point? It looked like the cards were in for a possible upset.
I'm still feeling good. I'm still feeling good.
All right. The eternal optimist, as always.
Thanks so much, gentlemen. We'll be right back. Right now. Welcome back, everyone. We're going to begin with Jake Eaton, our Republican analyst tonight. You just saw some numbers change.
Yeah, so it looks like as of right now, there's starting to be a shift in the I-185 race. And so White had been trailing a point or two. Now, with some of these counties that are coming in, it's actually up by just a smidge, by just about 1,100 votes now. So that's kind of turning the tide, while I-186 is kind of continuing on the same trend that we've seen all night long.
So a bit what you predicted in the beginning.
It's like I've done this before.
The tight race statewide is the clerk of the Supreme Court.
That is where it is at. The clerk of the Supreme Court race is at 400 votes separating Rex Rink and Bowen Greenwood, the Republican.
This one's going to keep us up all night.
Oh, all night long. I mean, their fingernails are sweating on this one.
As in zero polling on that. We're going to be back. Bob's going to give us a recap on the statewide weather scene for you right after this break.
Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us on Election Night 2018. I'm Janelle Slade.
And I'm Jay Cohn. The votes are rolling in. Montana voters turning out in record numbers today. Let's take a look at the top races in Montana tonight, bring you up to date. In the hotly contested U.S. Senate race that brought President Trump to Montana 4 times, Matt Rosendale challenging incumbent Jon Tester, but right now he's coming up a bit short. 53% of the votes tallied so far going to incumbent Senator Jon Tester, 45% to Matt Rosendale. Rick Breckenridge, the Libertarian Party candidate who withdrew from the race just a week ago and threw his support to Matt Rosendale, he is polling about 3% of the tally.
Now let's go check on both Senate campaign locations with Mike Dennison and Jonathan Ambarian.
I'm Mike Dennison of Great Falls at the election night party for Senator Jon Tester. The early returns have put this crowd in a festive mood, as you can hear, as Jon Tester has staked out an early but solid lead over his Republican challenger, Matt Rosendale. The senator himself has been down tonight working the crowd, and he's got to feel good looking at the initial numbers. In Yellowstone County, a place where Republicans have to do well to win, Tester is essentially tied with Rosendale. In other big Republican counties, he's holding his own, losing by only a few points. And Tester is rolling up big margins in Democratic counties. Any way you slice it, Tester has to be feeling pretty good at this moment. But we still have many votes to count before the evening is over.
I'm here at the Delta Colonial Hotel in Helena, where Matt Rosendale has his campaign headquarters. Been here for several hours now. The room has filled up, about 100 people here. So far, people are still sort of milling about, waiting to see more definitive results here as we go forward into the night. Rosendale was actually out here a few minutes ago, spent about 45 minutes going around the room, shaking hands with his supporters, saying hello to people, but he hasn't yet made any kind of an official speech. Of course, this is a race that took a lot of national attention from the Republicans, hoping for a big turnout from the Republican base. We'll see as the night goes on here whether that kind of turnout that they were hoping for shows up and whether it's enough to give Rosendale a victory. We'll be watching here throughout the night. In Helena, Jonathan Ambarian, MTN News.
All right, thank you, Jonathan. Busy night both in Helena and Great Falls tonight as they wait for these election returns to come in.
Meanwhile, in the Montana's U.S. House race, incumbent Republican Greg Gianforte hoping to stave off a spirited challenge from Democrat Kathleen Williams. Here's those early returns.
Right now, a flip in this race. We've been watching it get tighter and tighter by the quarter hour. And just moments ago, Greg Gianforte has edged into the lead now in his bid for re-election. With 49% of the vote in, Greg Gianforte with a slight lead over Democrat Kathleen Williams. Eleanor Swanson now down to 2% of the votes cast. We're also going to take you now to Bozeman, where both House candidates are having their election gatherings tonight with Medeiros Babb and Caitlin Corbett. Caitlin?
I'm back here at the Hilton Garden Inn in Bozeman at Congressman Gianforte's election party. Now, as you can see, there's a pretty big crowd here. The campaign tells me there's about 350 people all here watching the election results come in. Gianforte took some time just after the polls closed to acknowledge some of the other Republican candidates running for office.
It's great to have a terrific slate of candidates running for office. And I just wanted to take a minute to recognize them all. And can we give them a round of applause? Really appreciate it. All we have for now is enjoy the food and enjoy each other's company, and we'll be back as we have results. Thank you.
U.S. Senator Steve Daines is present, as well as businessman Troy Downing, all watching these results come in. And right now the race is pretty tight, and we'll be back here later on as more results come in.
I'm Medeiros Babb here at the Rialto in downtown Bozeman with Kathleen Williams, Communication Director Neil Ullman. Neil, it has hit capacity here with 350 people in the main room. How amazing does that feel?
It's great. It's the same kind of response we've been getting all summer and fall. Just people showing up, looking for a true representative in Congress, and this is kind of the culmination of all the work that we've done this year.
Williams does have the lead right now. It's a small lead, but she is up. Do you think it's going to be a tight race going forward?
Absolutely, it's going to be tight. There's still a lot of precincts to be counted. A lot of counties haven't reported anything yet at all. Still along the High Line in Indian Country. And a lot of precincts in some of the major counties as well, Cascade County. So there's still a lot more things to come in.
Are you feeling optimistic, especially with those cheers right behind you?
Well, we're getting a lot of news from all across the country, so lots of cheers, lots of excitement, but we're still waiting to hear a lot of results here in Montana.
Well, thank you for joining me, Neil. We will keep you updated as more results come in Bozeman. Medeiros Babb, MTN News.
Thanks, Medeiros, and Caitlin as well.
Absolutely. Well, we want to bring you up to date here with our room of analysts tonight. We have Jake Eaton with our Republican side of things, and Brandon DeMars helping us out with the Democratic perspective. Let's talk with you, Brandon, first off. Jon Tester looking pretty good. Apparently 4 visits by President Trump to the state in a bid to unseat him. Apparently not enough, huh?
Apparently not. He's looking pretty good. Obviously, there's still a lot of votes to be reported. Some counties haven't set their numbers in yet, but I think at this point he's looking like he's heading in the right direction.
Let's switch to the Kathleen Williams, Greg Gianforte race. I want to get your feeling on that. Close, but getting uncomfortably close. We just saw the latest tally where Gianforte has flipped into the lead now. So Kathleen Williams can't maintain the same advantage that Jon Tester. Of course, Jon Tester's had 12 years in Washington to establish a little more stronghold with the voters.
He's had a little more time to build up that name recognition, but again with that one, I think it's under 1% the difference now, so it's going to be very close as the night goes on. Again, you want to be looking at these urban counties, Missoula, Gallatin, hearing that a lot of folks are still voting in Gallatin County, which of course is home to both Congressman Gianforte and Kathleen Williams. So it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out.
Just a 1% difference right now between those two. Jake, your comments, both first with the Senate, you kind of had an inkling this might be going this way.
Yeah, I mean, we knew it was going to be tight from the beginning, and, Jon Tester's the #1 recipient of lobbyist money and all the members of Congress, and it looks like that money's paying off for him. I mean, he outspent Matt Rosendale tremendously, and I think maybe it's looking like that money was enough to kind of counterbalance President Trump's presence 4 times. So I think there's still, a couple 100,000 votes left to cast, so anything or count, but anything can happen, but it's not positive at this point.
Some people apparently are still casting their votes. But if you look at the Kathleen Williams campaign manager saying still a lot of urban counties and some of the rural Indian country votes are not in, are you feeling much better now about Gianforte's chances?
Definitely. I think those early votes we saw coming in, were from some of the liberal strongholds. I mean, they were in Butte, they were in Helena, some early Missoula numbers. So it's not a real surprise that Kathleen Williams was doing better in those places. And now that we're starting to see numbers come in from, a smattering across the state and kind of starting to see that even out.
All right.
All right, now we're going to head over to Russ Riesinger, who's standing right now with more political analysis tonight. Russ.
Yeah, I'm joined by Dr. Jason Atkins. He's a political professor at MSU Billings. And we were just checking out this map here. There is still a long ways to go in this election. You can see a lot of counties, most of the counties still have not reported.
Yeah, we have less than a third of the vote in. Look, the map has about, 27% of the vote, not even a third of the vote. And we can see we have some counties that haven't reported, like Gallatin. Then you look at Missoula County. Deep support for Jon Tester and Kathleen Williams, but not even half of their vote has been counted yet. So there is a lot of time left in the night. It's going to be a long night.
Yeah, we still have a lot of votes to count here in Yellowstone County, but we were talking earlier about how Jon Tester seems to be holding his own. At last report, I think he was down 63 votes is all to Matt Rosendale. How important is it for him to have a good showing here in Yellowstone County if he's going to win?
He needs to. He needs to keep that Republican advantage as low as possible, so he can take it. Keep that vote total high in some of the other counties back east, or back west, such as in Gallatin County, Cascade County, which is near his hometown, Missoula County.
All right, we're going to send it back to Jay and Janelle now.
All right, thanks, Russ.
Now, down in Wyoming, the dust is already settled, and already Republicans are projected as winning the top of the ticket in the race for the U.S. Senate. Incumbent John Barrasso, who has served since 2007, is retaining his seat. He beat out Democrat Gary Trotter and the Libertarian candidates.
Meanwhile, in the race for the U.S. House in Wyoming, Republican incumbent Liz Cheney has a commanding lead in her bid for a second term. She, of course, the eldest daughter of former Vice President Dick Cheney. You can see she leads Democrat Greg Hunter by more than a 2-to-1 margin. And as you see by the check next to her name, CBS News has projected Liz Cheney will be retained and sent back for another term in the House from the state of Wyoming.
And the race for Wyoming's governor has also been called. There were no incumbents this year as Governor Matt Mead had met his term limit. Wyoming's current treasurer, Mark Gordon, is projected to be Wyoming's new governor. He came out on top over Democratic former state representative Mary Throne. And in Initiative 185, the contentious tobacco tax, more than $20 million has been poured into the campaign from both sides. Let's take a look at those numbers. Early polling showed a narrow sliver of support for the initiative. Many in the healthcare field praised that initiative, but opponents are worried the initiative wouldn't pay for itself and other areas of the state would suffer. Right now, we're seeing 52% no, so the no's are beating out the yeses at this hour with about 84,000 votes to about 77,000.
These results have flipped within the last hour. Initiative 185 was being approved early in the tallies, but now it has flipped and gone to the negative side for Initiative 185. And as for Initiative 186, that strikes at the heart of Montana's mining industry, it had its fair share of support and opposition, but right now the no votes seem to be winning out in the battle over Initiative 186. 57% voting against I-186, 43% in favor.
The 6 mill levy used to help fund higher education for state schools. This legislative referendum is put on ballots every 10 years to help more students go to school. Yes, again, our state is saying yes, 63% to 37% for the 6 mill levy.
And legislative referendum, the restriction on who can take your ballot, well, that one also passing 63% in favor to 37% against. For some reason, this became an issue in the past election. It was going to confuse some people, but it seemed like this was just kind of a no-brainer. It was asking if you wanted a third party to be able to take your ballot to the polls, which seemed to be kind of standard operating procedure years ago. Suddenly that became an issue in the last election, Jay.
Well, yeah, I think it became a tool for the environmental groups and for the unions and really caused a lot of problems in several elections, specifically into local elections. When we get into some of these legislative districts where you're talking about, these races could be decided by just 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 votes, and all of a sudden some ballots go missing and people are trying to find out what's going on election day. So, this really is a good voter protection mechanism, I think, across the board.
Brandon, did you get caught surprised by this? Because it didn't seem like there was getting any traction. Of course, we had the other big initiatives to get most of the
attention. That's one that really flew under the radar this year. I was a little disappointed to see that it's going the way it is. I think being able to help your neighbors vote is a really important tool we have had in Montana up until now. So it's looking like that's not going to still be an option, but we'll see what happens.
We'll see.
Okay.
Of course, all these referendums and ballot initiatives are subject to check by the state legislature, and they have shown their ability to go in and change initiatives if they seem to have the votes and the will to do it. So that's what we can look forward to once the legislature it goes into session after the start of the year. Russ Riesinger,
we're going to head over there so we can check in with a little more analysis on these latest few votes we've talked about.
Yeah, and I'm with Dr. Jason Adkins, political professor at MSU Billings. Surprised at all by the way the initiatives have gone so far?
Honestly, yes. The Montana poll showed both initiatives passing. But there were a lot of undecideds as well. I think that's what happened. A lot of undecideds swung in opposition. Plus, there's a huge barrage in opposition to these initiatives.
Seeing the biggest turnout we've ever seen here in Montana for a midterm election. What do you think is driving that?
A lot of it's the referendum on the president's. Trump supporters want their voice heard and want to keep politicians that support him in office. And, his opponents, as Trump calls them, the resistance, want to see people in office that would oppose his policies.
And the president really made the focus in his campaign rallies across the nation on the Senate, which it seems to have worked in other states, but so far not here that we're aware of.
Right. I mean, it's still early, but it's a bit shocking looking at what's happened elsewhere in the country with Joe Donnelly, Claire McCaskill, and down in Florida with Bill Nelson.
All right, we're going to send it back to you, Jane Janelle.
All right, thanks so much, Russ.
Well, we have a lot of district court judges races to talk about tonight, not only here in Yellowstone County, but elsewhere around the state. We have 2 open seats in this election here in Yellowstone County. The first, District Court 13. This is where Attorney Colette Davies is taking on Deputy City Attorney Thomas Pardee. And as it was in the primary, it all is in favor of Colette Davies with 59% of the vote right now to Pardee's 41%.
And for Department 8, Billings Attorney Ashley Harada facing off against former Yellowstone County Prosecutor Julie Pierce. And it appears Julie Pierce has 51% of the vote at this hour to Ashley Harada's 49%.
Q2's Zoe Zandora has been keeping a closer look at the races for judge for us tonight and joins us here in studio to bring us the latest on what she found out. Zoe.
Thanks, Jay and Janelle. I did reach out to everyone in the races as the numbers are coming in to hear their reactions. And the District 13, Department 7, a bit of a gap with Colette Davies at 59, as you said, Thompson Pardee 41%. Now the District 13, Department 8, a closer race with Julie Pierce just up 51% over Ashley Harada. As you said, a lot of people are watching this race as Yellowstone makes way for the 2 positions. I did get to speak with Thomas Pardee on the phone to hear his reactions of his 41% result in the race so far.
I don't know what my reaction is. They're lower than I hoped. I guess the race isn't over until we cross the finish line, but I was obviously hoping for better numbers, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
And Pardee told me, we aren't at the finish line just yet, and we will keep watching the race as numbers come in. We are watching the District 22 race as well, as you mentioned earlier, which include Carbon, Stillwater, and Bighorn counties. And we will report on those numbers as soon as we know. Jay and Janelle?
All right, thanks so much, Zoe.
Let's take a look at that race right now. I'm not sure we have numbers in, but this district court for Carbon, Stillwater, and Bighorn counties. County Attorney Matt Wald is pairing off against Ray Kuntz, the Carbon County Attorney, and I believe this is where the judge has retired. I'm spacing his name right now.
Blair Jones.
Blair Jones, thank you, Jake. He has stepped down, so this is an open seat on the court, and it will be interesting to see. This also will be in at the very early hours in the morning. We've been told by Carbon County they're not releasing any of their numbers until everything has been counted, so we'll have to wait a little bit on that.
Wouldn't that make this just all easier if everyone just waited till we had all their numbers? A surprisingly interesting race this election cycle. The Clerk of Supreme Court. Now, this is a state elected position and voted on by the entire state. Take a look here. Bowen Greenwood with 50% of the vote, a Republican, to Rex Rink with 45% of that vote.
Jake Eaton, you were saying this position has been in Democratic hands almost as long as you've been alive.
Almost as long as I've been alive, yeah. It's been at least, I think, 15 or 20 years since Republicans have even fielded a candidate for this position. And so this is, a pretty amazing opportunity for us just to pick up another statewide elected official.
There was a little bit of controversy in this race in that they felt that Bowen was trying to make it politicized a little bit. It didn't seem to get much traction, but it seems like voters were, at least they got a little attention in the race.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these are partisan races, right? So it's going to get a little bit political, and I think, deservedly so. The Supreme Court is one of the most political bodies in the state of Montana, so I think for folks to think it wouldn't get political would be a little naive. But like I said, it's a great opportunity for Republicans to pick up another statewide elected official.
We were kind of joking earlier, who knew the clerk of the Supreme Court was going to be the one that would be keeping the race late at night.
And tonight, Yellowstone County deciding on a commissioner. This pits incumbent Democrat Robin Driscoll against local businessman Don Jones.
And as you see the numbers, it looks like Don Jones has picked up this seat here in Yellowstone County on the county commission, 55% to Robin Driscoll's 45%. This was Driscoll's first chance at getting elected. She was appointed to this seat when Bill Kennedy stepped down about a year ago. And both Jones and Driscoll have run and served in the legislature in Yellowstone County. So it really was a test to see who had recollection, I guess, amongst the voters. And Don Jones off to victory tonight.
And for County Auditor Becky Riedel is facing off against Republican incumbent Scott Turner. You see Scott Turner with 60% of the vote to Becky Riedel's 40%. There's quite a gap there.
And now excitement down at the Republican headquarters here in Yellowstone County as some GOP victories being declared tonight.
That's where we'll find Q2's Samantha Samantha Sullivan standing by live. Sorry, Sammy.
Did you get married or something?
Yeah.
It's okay, Janelle. I'm still getting used to it. It's really hard when you change your name. Well, we are here at the Republican Watch Party for the Yellowstone County Republicans, and as you guys were mentioning, we are here following the Yellowstone County Commissioner race, and as you mentioned, it is looking pretty good for Don Jones, who is the Republican challenger in this race. Of course, Robin Driscoll, as you guys mentioned, is a Democrat, and she was never actually elected to the position. She was appointed back in 2016 when Bill Kennedy left the county commission. So right now, here with the numbers, as you guys mentioned, about 41% of people are reporting here in Yellowstone County, and Don Jones is up 55% to 45%. Spoke to him a couple of minutes ago. He says right now he's cautiously optimistic. He doesn't want to get ahead of himself, though, as there are still quite a few votes to be counted in this race. But he did mention to me, after working in the state legislature, he would love to work a little bit closer to home and help the people here in Yellowstone County. So for right now, a pretty excited mood here at the Republican Party, but as he mentioned, cautiously optimistic. Jay and Janelle.
All right, thank you, Sammy. Well, that's a big change on the county commission. It means the Republicans are going to hold all 3 seats now in the Yellowstone County Commission. That hasn't been the case for a while, so we'll see how that plays out. But right now, looks like Don Jones is on his way to taking that seat.
We'll be right back.
You're watching MTN News with Jay Cohn and Janelle Slade. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Green. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader. Powered by the Montana Television Network. The 10 o'clock news continues on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Welcome back to election night coverage of Montana's 2018 election. We have a whole slew of Senate districts and legislative House districts to run through for you right now. So sit back and enjoy as we go first with Senate District 22. This district includes northeast Yellowstone County, parts of Treasure, Rosebud, and Custer County. And right now, Doug Carey with a big win, and it looks like he'll be heading back to the Senate, the state Senate. 58% to Doug Carey, to 42% for Jennifer Marecki.
Senate District 24, a district solely in the Billings area. Mary McNally with 55% to Tom McGilvery's 45%.
This was a big race here. This is also two legislative veterans facing off against each other, and McNally appears to be in the substantial lead. Senate District 27 also here in the Billings area. Carrie Smith with a more than a 2-to-1 margin over Brian Stafford.
Senate District 29 includes Carbon, Stillwater, and Sweetgrass counties. As you can see here, David Howard with 80%, the Republican candidate, over Elizabeth Scanlon with 20% of the votes tonight.
Moving on to Senate District 30. This has veteran John Esp, who's trying to move from the House to the Senate against Livingston area outfitter Dan Vermillion, and it's 73% to 25%, but there are a lot of votes yet to be counted in this race. I expect this will tighten up substantially before the morning is over.
And the Senate District 19 covers a huge geographic area, including 7 counties from Jordan all the way to Ekalaka. Kenneth Bogner with 78% of the votes, 210 votes to Mary Stang's 59 votes.
On to our long list of House districts now. We begin with Montana House District 40. This is a district that includes north of Billings and includes Roundup and Broadview. No votes in, but Barry Usher is the incumbent here, the owner of Beartooth Harley-Davidson, facing a challenge from Lisa Barton.
Montana House District 43, the votes are here. They represent the east edge of the Billings Heights. Peggy Webb with 62% to Blair Koch's 38%.
Montana House District 44. This area is the Central Heights, and incumbent Dale Mortensen looks to be well on his way to victory tonight over Ming Cabrera, 53% to 47%.
Montana House District 45. This area covers the western side of the Billings Heights. Daniel Zolnikoff with 65% of the votes to Danny, help me with that one.
Chiricki's
35% of the votes.
Moving on to House District 46 now. This stretches along Rimrock Road in northwest Billings, north almost all the way to Acton. A spirited race here. Bill Mercer, one of our former contributors here on MTN, well, looks like he'll be making an appearance in the Montana House as he's winning here 57% to Ann Giuliano's 43%.
And Montana House District 47 represents voters in part of downtown and a big portion, a big stretch underneath the rims. You can see Kathy Kelker with 62% of the vote to Colton Zogg's 38%.
Montana House District 48 encompasses much of central Billings, and this is Jessica Carjala seeking re-election to this seat. It looks right now that she's going to be the victor over Denise Johnson, 56% to 44%. Still votes being counted, though.
And Montana House District 49 represents most of the Billings South Side, along with part of Central Billings. Jessica Carjala with 56% to Denise Johnson's 44%. And we just have those.
We just had those, but we're moving on past
that. 50. There we go. Sorry about that. Montana House District 50, Central Billings, and a portion of voters on the Billings South Side. This is Jade Barr with 60% to Quentin Eggert's 35% to Libertarian Nathan McKinty with 5% of the votes.
Moving on now to House District 51. This is a long stretch along the I-90 corridor, all the way from Garden Avenue to Shields. This has flipped. Frank Fleming, who was appointed to this seat, Adam Rosendale had resigned the seat when he moved to Great Falls. Fleming was appointed, and right now with a tight margin over Darrell Wilson, 51 to 49%. Also, Montana House District 52. This encompasses the south side of Billings. Look at here, Rodney Garcia, former legislator from Billings. Looks like he's heading back to Helena to represent his district in the state legislature. 54% to Amelia Marquez's 46%.
Montana House District 53, a large chunk of West Billings out toward Laurel. You can see here Dennis Lenz with 71% to Clementine Lindy's 29% of votes.
House District 54, a large swath that runs north to south through West Billings. And Terry Moore with a 12% margin right now over Ben McKee, another Republican, winning election here in Magic City tonight.
And Montana House District 55, which is south of Billings, another Republican here, Vince Ricci, against Kathleen O'Donnell's 31% of the votes.
On to House District 56, Sue Vinton, 67% to Jana Lynn's 33%. And that district pretty much encompasses the Lockwood area, we understand.
Montana House District 58, much of Carbon County, from South Laurel to Red Lodge, all the way down to the state line. We don't have numbers for that race at this hour.
Check back with you on that. Moving to House District 59, area of Sweetgrass and Park counties. And here, Alan Redfield with a big victory, 77% in the early voting against Quenby Ian Dorio, 23%.
Montana House District 60, Park County includes Livingston. We don't have those numbers in yet tonight, so we'll keep you updated on those.
So moving along now to Montana House District 29. This area includes Lewistown, Grass Range, and Winnett. And we have some numbers here. Dan Bartel, 88%, 268 votes, against Rachel Stansberry's 12%. Probably still with the multiple counties, we've got several votes to be counted yet here in House District 29.
And Montana House District 30, which is a big area from Lavina to White Sulphur. Wiley Galt with 83% of the vote so far to Catherine Nichols, 17%.
We have a big ballot initiative in Bighorn County. Commissioners there asking for a $7 million loan. It's part of a $12 million total expansion to help with jail overcrowding. I understand we do have some tallies. Here we are. 59% of the people in Bighorn County are opposing, while 41% are in favor. Looks like we still have some more votes to tally there, but jails in Bighorn County have been a controversial thing here for some time.
So, as you can probably tell, this is going to be a late night, or an early morning, or a mid-morning, or maybe an afternoon.
Is addressing her supporters.
Last we heard, there were still people trying to vote that had gotten in line before 8 p.m. at the Gallatin Courthouse. So there were people here that showed up that had waited for 4 hours to cast their vote. How dedicated is that, right? So what that means is that thank you for joining us all tonight. This race is too close to call right now, but I wanted to take this opportunity to thank you all before they shut down this venue. We have it till midnight, I believe, so if you want to stick around and keep watching the returns with us, please do. All of your hard work has gotten us here in a race some thought would be an easy win for the incumbent, Greg Gianforte. Right? So we're proving that wrong. So I want to thank all the people who believed in me and worked so hard to support this effort. All of you out there, thank you so much. We began this journey 367 days ago. Right? In fact, Dorothy Bradley, many of you know Dorothy Bradley. She was willing to step up and agree to be my treasurer. And that is such a vote of confidence from a woman who is an absolute model and icon and inspiration for politics all across Montana. So, Dorothy, if you're watching, thank you so much. And by the way, this pin, the one with the heart, was given to Dorothy by her friends just before she started riding her horse across Montana when she ran for governor. So she has given that to me, which is pretty incredible. Thank you, Dorothy.
Kathleen Williams in Bozeman tonight.
Speaking to her supporters, a class act there. She probably could see the writing on the wall as that race is turned south a little bit as she's now trailing Greg Gianforte. We'll see. It's a lot of time yet to go, but right now things don't look to be trending in her direction.
Up next in Weather, Bob says if you didn't get enough snow on your lawn this morning, you will get a second chance tomorrow.
Stay with us. You can check out your full forecast coming up right after this break.
Hi, everyone. Bob McGuire here in the Q2 Weather Center. And I'm here just basically, we're going to redo our numbers. We're going to update our computers. And I'm just here to kill a little time right now. And while I'm here, hey, let's talk about the weather, huh? Let me show you. Start off with this picture here from Leon Jensen. Says this is the first snowflake to fall in northern Wyoming. Yeah, that's a good one. Let me show you about a few trillion more. This is the way it looks in Big Sky. Yeah, look at this picture today. They got about 5 inches just since midnight. And in the last 48 hours, they've had 24 inches of snow up there. Yeah, it's coming down like a banshee. Meanwhile, here's what's happening in Billings. Not a bad night for us here. As you can see, we do have partly cloudy skies, 24 degrees, and right now the wind is fairly calm at the moment, so really not a bad night, just a little on the chilly side. Since there's no wind, the wind chill factor is still the same as our current temperature of 24. Now, you'll see here, our high temp today topped out at 32. Not a really warm one today. 50 is your normal high. 74 was the record back in 1934. Record low was just last year, 3 degrees. And as you'll see here, as far as precipitation, we wound up with 3/100 of an inch of precip. Most of it all came down as snowfall. And so for the month, we're at about a 1/4 inch. Only need to be at 1300 here for this month. And you'll notice for the year, we're at 1808 and only need to be at 1266. And as we move on, our current temps right now around the state are basically into the teens and 20s back here in the east. Look at how cold it is. Glenda, oh my goodness, 12 degrees. Same thing over at Glasgow, 24 in Billings. Out in the west, a little warmer over there, 34 at Kalispell, 36 at Missoula right now. Northern Wyoming also into the low to mid 20s. A little chilly night out there. These are our reported highs today. It was not a warm day, no matter how you look at it in eastern Montana. Look at the 20s. Billings and Sheridan basically got up to about 32 degrees. Everybody basically from here on out this way wound up with temps into the 30s and even a few low 40s like Missoula and Dillon. Dillon wound up at 44 degrees. Now here's our next story. Winter weather advisory. Could see that stays with us throughout most of tomorrow. 1 to 4 inches of snow in the west, maybe 2 to 7 inches of snow around Missoula. By Kalispell, 3 to 6, 1 to 2 inches of snow from Great Falls on over towards Lewistown. Everyone else probably not going to see too much more snow out of that. We might see a little maybe 1 inch or so in the Billings area, but that's about it. The stuff we had earlier today, that continues to move into Wyoming. Your next batch of snow is this guy here coming in over northwestern Montana, going between Missoula and Kalispell, heading right for the Great Falls area. And as you'll see, that's going to continue to kind of follow this stationary front. The chilly air continues to stay here. It's actually pushing all the way down in towards the rest of the Central Plains. And so by tomorrow, here comes some more snow showers moving in. About 6 o'clock in the morning, could see some snow in the Billings area. And once again, like last morning where we had so many slide-offs, we could see some more snow here. We could see more slide-offs again in the morning, so we're not too happy about that. Then later on, another batch of snow moves into the Billings area about 3 p.m. After that, then the whole thing slides out of the way. High pressure starts building in. Sunny skies for Thursday, but we're still going to be a little on the cold side because we still have one cold front moving through, but at least the sun will be out. As far as snowfall amounts now, it looks like Billings could pick up maybe 2 inches out of this by Thursday, maybe 2 to 4 inches out in the far west, out in Missoula and places like that. But for Billings tonight, here's what you're going to see. Temps cooling down to the teens and 20s around the region. Kind of a cold night, partly cloudy skies. Tomorrow, we're right back up into the 20s, some 30s, with maybe some scattered snow showers. 32 over in Livingston, 28 in Billings for the high temperature tomorrow, only 28 degrees. And then after that, tonight we cool down to 16, 20% chance for more snow moving in overnight. Next 7 days, it'll be 28 for the high. On Wednesday, maybe 1 more inch of snow. Picked up a little inch or less today. Then tomorrow, I should say Thursday, back up to 36 degrees, mostly sunny. 37 on Friday, a slight chance for some snow moving in late. Then, here's the good news. After that, we're back into the 40s as we head into Veterans Day. 46 degrees, getting close to 50 by Tuesday. Let's go back to Jane Janelle.
All right. Thanks so much, Bob.
How about some sports? You ready for
Sure.
some sports news? Crosstown volleyball tonight. MSUB versus Rocky, round 2. Scott Breen is up next to show us all the scores and highlights.
Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for staying up late with us tonight. Some fun sports action here. Rocky and MSUB squaring off in women's basketball. It was exhibition for both, but the finish was somewhat more epic. MSU Billings trailed by 11 entering the fourth quarter. There they are in gray. Fast forward to the final minute. Rocky now trailing. Alicia Chamberlain driving. Now get it out of there, but gets her own rebound, scoops it in, and scores. She led Rocky with 18 points. Bears would tie it with under 10 seconds left. Now, time expiring. 62 apiece. Hannah Collins draws the blocking foul with 0.2 of a second left. This free throw for the win? Off the mark. Bears try to ice her with a timeout, but you know what? She was so clutch tonight in the fourth quarter, led everybody with 20 points. That free throw for the victory, and that's how it ends. MSUB in a thriller tonight, 63-62 over the Rock. Again, exhibition for both teams, but sure didn't look like it out there on the court. Meantime, a handful of finals to pass along today. MSU's women win this afternoon over Carroll. They had about 6,000 students there today for that one. MSU Bobcat men not quite as well tonight at home. They give up 101 and lose by 30 to Utah State. Down in the lower right corner, Wyoming's men also losing at home by 10 to UC Santa Barbara. Well, it's only taken West High volleyball coach Monica Grimsrud one season to earn the #1 seed at this week's state tournament. Casey Conlon shows us how she and the Bears have done it.
This time around, it'll be easier.
Last year, I think it was just kind of a stressful situation for everyone. The girls handled it really well, but
Monica Grimsrud was thrust into head coaching duties in the final week of the season last year and did as well as could be expected, leading West to its first state tournament win since 2012. So it was no surprise when Grimsrud got the full-time job in the offseason.
her being younger has actually helped us. She has a great relationship with all the girls. All of our coaching staff does. I think she understands us, realizes how to convey her points quickly.
The turnaround was quick. West went from afterthought to Eastern AA champion with a strong late-season run that was no fluke.
We've had some injuries this season, so this is really this last part of our season is when we had our whole team playing the right positions.
The thing I love about this team is they haven't even peaked yet. There's been little glimpses of what they can do throughout the season, but I'm really hoping with the next couple practices we're going to really push to put it all together, and then we're going to peak in next week.
The Bears go into state as the #1 seed for the first time since 2010. They made it all the way to the championship that year, only to lose to Helena High and star senior Monica Grimsrud.
Oh yeah, we know all about it. I think if we ever get a shot at Helena when we're there, I think there's just going to be some revenge there for her.
Well, guess what? If West beats Hellgate in the opener, they'll play the winner of senior Helena in the quarters.
I mean, obviously the West Senior crosstown rivalry is huge, but then for me, obviously personally, Helena is a little bit of a one that's down deep there, and I really want to win that game.
I definitely think we want to beat Helena High. That's a pretty big game, and especially them being a good team that they are, I think it'd be a really good opportunity to play them.
We're all so excited. I think for us seniors, especially me and Kinsey, I think this is our last chance to bring home the hardware, you know?
That would be the peakiest of peaks. Casey Conlon, MTN Sports.
And remember, you can download our free Montana Sports app. If you like volleyball or football, this will be your best friend all weekend. And again, it's free. We have all this weekend's pairings, plus Cats, Grizz, Rocky. The PBR World Finals start tomorrow night. Just search Montana Sports, one word, and download our free app. That'll do it for sports. The crew's back with election numbers. Updated, coming up next.
And welcome back to Q2 coverage of Election Night in Montana on this 2018, November 6th. Let's check out the top races tonight. First, in Montana's U.S. Senate race that brought the President of the United States to Montana 4 times. And the numbers show it is tightening up between Senator Jon Tester and his Republican challenger, Matt Rosendale. Now just 2 percentage points separate these two, 113,765 for incumbent Senator Jon Tester, 110,102 for Matt Rosendale. So this is earlier was a 15,000 vote lead. Now it's down to 3,000 votes and getting tighter all the time. So maybe we were a little ahead of ourselves thinking this was going to coast into the night. We'll see how it goes, but right now tightening up.
Meanwhile, in Montana's U.S. House race, incumbent Republican Greg Gianforte, 53% of the vote. It looks like this one hasn't been flip-flopping around. 53% to 46% over Kathleen Williams.
Hasn't flip-flopped recently, but
recently, I
an hour ago Williams was ahead, and now
Gianforte
has jumped ahead, and 120,000 votes for Greg Gianforte. He's getting more votes, I think, than Jon Tester was in the last tally. So interesting. Let's move on to our big initiatives. In Initiative 185, the contentious tobacco tax. More than $20 million poured into this campaign from both sides. And right now, Big Tobacco seems to have been successful in convincing Montanans that this was not a good idea. 54% of the votes tallied opposed to Initiative 185, 46% in favor. Another initiative strikes at the heart of Montana's past, Initiative 186. The mining has had its fair share of support and opposition. This proposal going down 59% to 41%, and both sides spent millions of dollars trying to convince voters. I think in the end, everyone was confused. Both sides were saying the same thing, and right now, voters are finding the final say, and it's not good for Initiative 186. Let's bring in our analysts tonight, Brandon DeMars on the Democratic side and Jake Eaton on the Republican side. Jake, I got to ask you about the Rosendale is closing the margin down to 2% now.
It's tighter than the buttons on Jon Tester's sport coat. I mean, this race is just getting tighter and tighter. And like we've been saying all night, you know, this is one that's really going to come down to the very end and all the votes counted. I mean, Tester's never won with a majority of the vote. He's always had 49% or less, and I think we're seeing tonight stack up to be the same kind of race that he's had in the past.
Well, the New York Times earlier had him, they were predicting he would win by a larger margin.
And we still might get there. There's still a lot of votes left to be counted, but certainly with the inverse tracking of the way Greg Gianforte is pulling ahead of Kathleen Williams, that has helped Matt Rosendale close the gap somewhat. It's just going to be, is there enough votes out there to close that gap?
That is the question, Brandon. A lot of these votes that haven't been tallied come from rural Montanans and some of these outlying counties. Are you feeling a little uneasy right now?
No, you know, I think it's no surprise that this is getting a lot closer as the night goes on. There are votes in these rural areas yet to come in. There are also a lot of precincts that have not yet reported in Missoula and Gallatin County, as we've been seeing throughout the night. At the end of the day, I think Senator Tester is still in very good shape at this point.
And I think people believe that rural Montana is all red, but Senator Tester is from Big Sandy and has a lot of support in the rural parts of the state. So I guess we'll have to just wait and see, but it might not follow conventional wisdom there.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he's had a long track record of having support in rural Montana. So I'd expect
Except he's never won his
continue.
hometown. He's never won Big Sandy. Never won the county, so I don't know how much support.
A lot of times politicians lose their hometown. That doesn't say much. But let's go to
Matt Rosendale. We can head out to his campaign tonight.
He's now speaking to his supporters in Helena. Let's go there now.
We just wanted to stop out and thank everybody for coming out tonight. You all have been so supportive over the last 12 months. You've been knocking on doors, you've been making phone calls for us, and we are almost there. I'm joined up here with my wife for 33 years, Jean, my oldest son, Matthew, my middle son, Brian, and my youngest son, who's running for the Senate in Cascade County, Adam. It looks like it's going to be a long night. They're going to be driggling and driving votes in for quite some time now, and that's why we really wanted to come out and address everybody and come out here and spend some time with you, because I just don't know how long it's going to take. It could be into the wee hours of the morning. So we just wanted to come up, say hello to you. We're going to take a lap around the room here and visit with everybody. Thank you again, and hang in there. We're going to be...
U.S. Senate candidate Matt Rosendale addressing his party tonight, his campaign party.
Yeah, well, that's what you have to do. The people have been supporting you and volunteering for you. It's time to give them a big thank you. And as you said, the race is tightening up. Let's go over to Russ Riesinger, who's got more analysis for us with Dr. Jason Adkin. Russ?
You know, regardless of what happens with our Senate race and our House race, it appears this is going to be a very good night for the Republicans nationally as far as the Senate goes, and a very good night for Democrats as far as the House goes.
Yeah, the projections are that Democrats are looking to capture at least get up to 230 seats in the House, so almost like a 35 to 40 seat gain.
Okay, hold on. We've got John Tester now. We want to go ahead and listen in to him as he addresses the crowd.
And I will tell you that I look forward to sharing with you tomorrow some very good news, but I can't do it tonight. And I can't do it tonight because we've got to wait till all the votes are counted. And I just want to say one thing before I give up the mic, and hopefully we will see you tomorrow at some point in time. But I just want to thank the volunteers who have helped in this campaign. Look, guys and gals that were on the phones, that went door to door, and I can tell you that if you want to make sure you're alive, all you have to do is go door to door. It gets you out of your safety zone. But the bottom line is that we had literally thousands of people across this state that went door to door and got on the phone and made phone calls, which also is not easy, and talked to Montanans around this state. And for the volunteers, some of which are in this room, and for the folks across the state of Montana who have helped.
All right, there you are listening to John Tester, who it sounds like is about to head to bed for the night.
Yes, he is. It's going to be a long night for both Matt Rosendale and Senator Tester.
Mm-hmm. As close as you expected it to be? Do you think that did you think that we would have a clear winner by the time the night was over?
Who knows? You see the delays in counting ballots in Missoula County. We still haven't seen anything from the Bozeman area. So I think Senator Tester is going to go to bed thinking he has a really good shot at winning tomorrow.
And before we went to Senator Tester there, we were talking about how this really appears like it is going to be a very good night for Democrats as far as the House goes, and a very good night for Republicans as far as the Senate. They have a chance to increase their lead there.
Yes, I think Republicans are going to be very happy that they took at least 3 seats. It looks like 3 seats in the Senate. I know Democrats hope to take control of the Senate, but I think the map was against them this cycle.
All right, we're going to send it back over to Jay and Janelle now.
All right, well, it's been a long night, and it's getting longer. We're coming back in another couple of minutes and recap our top races for you, but it seemed like Senator Tester was somewhat optimistic, but Matt Rosendale the same, Jake.
Yeah, I think, when you've been doing this for 2 years of your life like these guys have, you can't help but be optimistic. I mean, you know the effort that you've put forward. You know that all the things that you've done, and I think everybody on every campaign that I've ever worked with thinks that they've done all the right things to do it. So now it's got to wait for everybody to come in.
We'll see you back here in a couple of minutes.
This is a Campaign 2018 election night in Montana update.
Thank you. We are back again here at the Q2 studios with our cast of thousands, we'll call it. Welcome to our statewide audience now as we pick up this election coverage on this historic night where Montana set all kinds of records when it comes to voter turnout. Let's get right to the U.S. Senate race that's tightening by the minute. Senator Jon Tester, we just heard him address his followers in Great Falls. We can take a look at those numbers right now. Jon Tester, his lead down to just a 2% lead. The tally last report, if we could see the tally at last report, apparently not. Okay, we can't go to it. Let's talk about it.
Okay.
Sound like Senator Tester was somewhat optimistic. He said he had good news to share in the morning, but couldn't do it
Oh, there we
yet.
go. There's our numbers.
All right, 114,793 of the votes tallied so far have gone to Jon Tester, 111,541 to Matt Rosendale. So they're separated by like 3,250 votes. It doesn't get much closer than that. And Brandon, it's uncomfortably close for Democrats right now.
Well, I think it's not surprising that this is tightened up later on in the evening as things go on. But there are still a lot of votes out there in a number of key counties that need to be reported. But I think Senator Tester has a lot of reason to be optimistic about what tomorrow morning looks like.
Brandon Demers, our Democratic consultant that's been helping us out all night. We're also joined by Jake Eaton. Jake, your thoughts? Have you watched Matt Rosendale and Jon Tester pretty much give the same message to their followers? Hang in there with me.
Yeah, I mean, this you get down to races like this, and it makes your fingernails sweat. You know, that's how close these things get. And at this point in the night, it's really just kind of about trying to figure out where the votes are left, and kind of put those together with your models and see if there's going to be enough votes there for you. So there's nothing left to do but wait for those guys.
Do you have any idea where those votes are yet to be counted from?
All over the state. Just looking at the map here, there's still literally a smattering of a lot of different areas of the state that have come in. Still a huge chunk of Yellowstone County that has to come in. We haven't seen anything from Bozeman. Still quite a bit of Missoula and the Flathead to come in. So you've got a lot of Republican areas, you've got a lot of Democrat areas, and I think about probably between 250 and 300,000 votes left to come in, somewhere in that neighborhood probably.
So as you all predicted, not until tomorrow.
Yeah, probably. And Brandon, you're pretty young at this, but Missoula County notoriously has problems and comes in amongst the last, as does Flathead County. And some of these counties, they're just notorious for those of us watching this come in that they're going to be among the last counties to report. So Missoula County, that seems to be Democratic country, but Flathead County is the opposite.
Yeah, and we're also seeing, again, record high turnout. So that's probably adding to the problem. There are more, not necessarily a problem, it's a great thing, but it takes longer to count these ballots.
Right. And especially we mentioned earlier the two-page ballot that's actually having these counties run the ballot twice. Takes twice as long to count just because of all the races on that ballot. So that's adding to our frustration here behind the desk. We'd love to have all these numbers at least more complete for you, but we are where we're at.
Let's take a look at the numbers for the U.S. House race. Greg Gianforte with 53% to Kathleen Williams 46%.
Now, if you were watching earlier, Kathleen Williams had a large lead early with those early absentee vote counts from Lewis and Clark and Yellowstone County. And now with the other counties coming in, Greg Gianforte has chipped away at that lead, and now he's building a lead of 7%. Brandon, any hope that those last votes yet to be counted are going to turn the tide back in Kathleen Williams' favor?
Right, there's definitely a gap that they have to make up there. But I think there's certainly a shot when you look at areas like Gallatin County, who are not reporting yet. That is a county that's been trending more Democratic in recent years, and it is Kathleen Williams' home county, as well as Congressman Gianforte's, but I think there could be a lot of votes made up there.
Jake, what do you think as you look at who's going to win Gallatin County? Is there really it's kind of a push?
I think it will be pretty close in Gallatin County. And, of course, this early in the night, you never want to count your chickens before they hatch. But I think things are looking really good for Greg Gianforte. But, just a couple hours ago, Senator Tester was sitting on about the same size vote lead that Greg Gianforte is now. So these things can kind of shift on a dime depending on who's reporting. But I think if you just look at the relationship between the way that Greg Gianforte's lead is growing and the way that Senator Tester's lead is shrinking, that doesn't spell good news for Kathleen Williams.
Let's switch gears now and move to the initiatives, Janelle.
Initiative 185, the contentious tobacco tax. More than $20 million has been poured into this campaign from both sides, and it appears the tobacco companies are winning at this point, with 54% of the votes to 46%.
Most of the polls prior to elections showed this winning, but it was close. Big Tobacco poured so much money into this, it looks like people are getting confused, and both sides on this thing were all over the place as far as if you just sat and watched the advertisements, how you figured out where you were going to side on this issue was just very confusing, even to me. The more I read about it, the more confused I got. Another initiative that strikes at the heart of Montana's past, the mining initiative, Initiative 186, the mining reclamation plan. This new cleanup would set new standards in Montana. It affected clear and convincing evidence that mines would not require perpetual treatment of water. And anyone that knows much about hard rock mining, that pretty much affects almost every mine in the state. Now, the existing mines were grandfathered in, but the mining industry was successful in convincing people this was pretty much a death knell for their industry. I think as we've seen this is gaining momentum through the night, this is going down in defeat. If we can look at those numbers again as I was talking, I'm sorry, but Initiative 186 going down tonight, it looks like by a 6 to 7% margin at last check.
All right, let's head on over to Russ Riesinger, who's standing by now with more analysis. Russ.
Dr. Atkins, you, of course, did the Montana poll there at MSUB, and it showed both of those initiatives likely passing. Have you been surprised at what you've seen so far with those numbers?
A little bit, but we have to remember there were a lot of undecideds, and it looks like a lot of those undecideds flipped to opposition, or they made up their minds. They may have been leaning, but in the end, they said no to those initiatives.
Yeah, there's also a ton of money poured into that for advertising in the last month after that Montana poll was done. Do you think that could have possibly turned things around?
I think so. You couldn't escape the initiatives if you watch local TV here in Montana, and looks like it did the trick.
And Jay mentioned that they were kind of confusing, maybe for some people.
I think so, especially the mining one. People didn't really understand that. Then the Medicaid expansion was coupled with the tobacco tax, and then aid to veterans. So there are a bunch of issues thrown in that one initiative.
All right, we'll send it back to Jay and Janelle now.
All right, thanks so much, Russ.
Switching gears now, most of the polls have closed around the country. The ballots are still being counted, of course, but at this hour, it looks like the Democrats have gained control of the House of Representatives, and the Senate remains in even tighter control with the... Now they're telling me we're not going to this?
We're not going to that story.
Okay,
right
well,
now.
let's go back and just talk about what we know we're talking about.
Should we check back in with Jake and Brandon?
Yes, let's do that. Let's talk about the mining initiative. $1 million the proponents spent on proposing Initiative 186. Trout Unlimited was behind it. They had more individual donors contributing to this initiative than any other initiative on the ballot. They had donors from 30 states, a lot of them from out of state, and I think that hurt the image of this initiative, that it was being proposed by out-of-state interests. That really hit the heart of one of the industries that put Montana on the map in the first place.
Yeah, that may be the case, and obviously there was a lot of out-of-state money in all these races and on all these initiatives. I think on 186, it's a really interesting one where it kind of cuts in interesting ways across partisan lines. It's not necessarily a Democrat-Republican issue.
Right.
You've got folks on both sides of the aisle, both supporting and opposing.
Especially in the mining city of Butte, a Democratic stronghold, but also the mining stronghold in Montana. So that had to put that city at odds with its past and perhaps its history. And on the other side, the Montana Mining Association spent $2 million to defeat the measure, and a lot of foreign corporations as well. A lot of that money came from out of state as well, Jake. So it was a battle of out-of-state money.
Yeah, and I think I-186 was sunk when they decided to take the chairman of Orvis, who lives in Vermont and has a second home in Montana, and put him in TV commercials, making him the face of I-186. I mean, I think that was just a huge mistake that didn't resonate with people. But I think the other thing that the mining industry was successful in telling people is, look, we already have some of the most stringent regulations on mining in the country, and we don't need these. And what this is really about is a handful of environmental groups trying to block two new mines that are going on, one by Libby and one by White Sulphur. And I think they did a really good job of getting that message out.
All right, well, there's the analysis for you. Looks like that initiative is going down, as it also does. That looks like Initiative 185 also failing.
We're going to try this again. Most of the polls have closed around the country, and the ballots are still being counted. But at this hour, it appears that the Democrats have gained control of the House of Representatives.
CBS's Mola Lengi now reports from Capitol Hill.
Millions of voters cast their ballots in one of the most hard-fought midterm elections in memory. CBS News is now projecting that the Democratic Party will gain control of the House of Representatives.
Are you ready for a great Democratic victory? I thought so. Onward to victory.
The Democrats seized the House with strong showings in places like Virginia's 10th District, where Jennifer Wexton defeated incumbent Barbara Comstock. It's a seat that the GOP had held since 1980.
Change is coming to America, and change is coming to Virginia 10. And that change came tonight.
But the Democrats' hope of capturing control of the Senate were dashed with losses in Tennessee, North Dakota, and Indiana, where incumbent Joe Donnelly lost to Republican challenger Mike Braun.
I want to thank all Hoosiers for giving me a resounding victory, putting your faith in me, and I will not let you down.
Texas Republican Ted Cruz earned a narrow victory against Democrat Beto O'Rourke.
This election was a battle of ideas. It was a contest for who we are and what we believe.
President Trump crisscrossed the country in support of Republican candidates. The president urged his supporters to turn out to prevent a Democratic victory.
At the end of the day, the president's going to work with whoever comes into office.
Mr. Trump was one of many who saw the 2018 midterms as a critical election. Exit polls indicated that voters felt the same about him. Nearly 2/3 said the president was a deciding factor in who they voted for. Mola Lengi, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
All right, well, there's the latest. We get so focused on our statewide stuff. Nice to hear what's happening on the national scene, so thanks for Mola for that. After the break, we're going to head to Great Falls live with Mike Dennison at John Tester's party. That's coming up right after this. Welcome back to our extended coverage of Election Night in Montana 2018 and the U.S. Senate race here in Montana getting tighter by the minute.
We're at 1% right now. Oh, goodness. Right now we're at 49% to 49%.
This is why people thought we'd be here till the wee hours in the morning. So what was a 15,000 vote lead for Senator Tester, I would say 2.5 hours ago, is now down to, a 1,200 vote lead. Not quite a 1,200 vote lead. So I think this is what they call too close to call right now.
Entirely too close to call. We're going to head to Mike Dennison, who is in Great Falls at Senator Tester's campaign tonight.
Hey, Mike.
I'm here at the Holiday Inn in Great Falls, John Chester's election night party. As you can see, things have kind of started to clear out here because everyone is going to bed, waiting for tomorrow morning when they're going to get the final results and find out who has won this contest. Chester just spoke to the crowd about 10 minutes ago, and you may have heard that he said that he feels confident, but at the last check, he had a lead of about 3,000 or 4,000 votes, and that's maybe 55% of the votes in, so tons of votes yet to be counted. People were still voting in Gallatin County. That's a county that Chester was hoping to win big, and he's going to need big wins in Cascade and Gallatin County and perhaps some Native American counties to run up a lead, because there's a lot of rural counties still out there to come in yet, and we know those are going to go for Rosendale. So this race is shaping up just like we thought several months ago and just like we thought last week. It's coming down to the wire and be decided Wednesday morning. But the only thing we do know is it's not going to make that much difference in terms of the makeup of the Senate, but it's still the top race here in Montana. Back to you in the studio.
All right, thank you, Mike. Well, it's even closer than Mike. Our latest numbers show it's about 1,200, 1,300 vote difference between Senator Chester and Matt Rosendale. So I'm not sure anyone's sleeping very well.
No, I was going to say,
back.
Brandon, do you really think they're all going to bed right now?
Well, I'm sure everyone's going to try to get some sleep, but it'll certainly be a long night and an early morning. But we've seen a number of these statewide elections in recent years that were not called until the next day. Whether it was Governor Bullock's re-election 2 years ago, Senator Tester's last 2 elections, they were all long nights, early mornings.
Jake Eaton, this is pretty much standard operating procedure, as Brandon was saying, where Chester's concerned, because all of his races have been just squeakers.
Right. I mean, he's never won a majority of the vote. He's always won with 49% or less. So I think he's used to this. And, I remember Conrad Burns used to say on election night, I always sleep like a baby. I wake up, I start crying, I go back to sleep for about 2 hours, then I wake up, start crying again. And that's just kind of how these nights go when you're in these tight races like this.
Do you think the change from Rick Breckenridge just early this week by saying, I throw my support behind Matt Rosendale, do you think that's helping him tonight? Matt Rosendale, that is?
I definitely think that helps. The question is, was it too little, too late? The Democrats came out with this, anonymous mail piece, kind of supporting Matt Rosendale, supporting Breckenridge, hitting Matt Rosendale, and that was enough for him to come out and say, okay, I'm just going to support Rosendale. So the question is, is there enough absentee ballots left from those libertarian-leaning voters that could make a difference? And certainly in a race like this where we're down to 1,200 votes right now, I mean, every single vote is going to count.
The Libertarian Party wasn't happy about that. I read a release just later a couple of days ago, that they said, forget it. And they were very upset that their candidate bailed on them.
Yeah, and I saw there was a follow-up statement from Rick Breckenridge saying it wasn't necessarily a full endorsement, but an endorsement of a certain position on that issue. So it was very confusing. I think people may have taken the wrong message or just not known what to think.
Did that hurt future third-party runs in Montana? Because first he was in, then he was out, then he said, well, maybe.
Well, yeah, I think it definitely could. But I think, as this race gets closer, I think we need to look back to what happened several months ago and how that's going to have an impact on this race. I mean, the Montana Democratic Party went all in and spent, a couple $100,000 on Perkins Coie, an international law firm that used to work for Hillary Clinton, to keep the Green Party off of the ballot in this race. And now we're seeing why they did that. I mean, this thing could come down to just a handful of votes. If you had a Green Party candidate on there taking out, the same amount of vote as a Libertarian, then this would be even more interesting right now, what would be going on.
But in fairness, the Green Party, the issue was that they didn't follow the rules in gathering the signatures, which that's
I think a lot of people would argue what the reason that they lost.
Well, the court sided with the tester attorneys on that.
That's definitely another interesting one too. When you've got former Democrat Attorney General Mike McGrath, who didn't recuse himself from that case. When you've got Dirk Sandifer, who the Democrat Party had spent over $100,000 in independent expenditures, that didn't recuse themselves from that case, and now this could be a deciding factor in the U.S. Senate race. So it's going to be really interesting, I think.
Most people knew it was going to be a deciding factor. That's why they threw so much money at it.
Yep.
All right, well, we have more localized elections to tell you about tonight. Public Service Commission, not here in eastern Montana, but up along the High Line and in western Montana as well. Public Service Commission District 1, Janelle, go ahead.
Let's see here. We have Randy
Pinocchi?
I'm sorry, Pinocchi to Doug Kircher. Pinocchi with 68% of the vote at this hour to Doug Kircher's 32%.
And this is up in Toole, Choteau counties, and Cascade. So give you some idea where that is. And here is Public Service Commission District 5, I believe it is. Brad Johnson. Looks like he's on his way to being elected to a second term. He's now the chairman of the PSC, defeating Andy Shurtleff 57% to 43%. This district includes Helena, goes all the way up to Kalispell, and also includes the Rocky Mountain Front. So these PSC districts are really a whole new animal.
Montana Senate District 49, Diane Sands, the Democrat, the incumbent here, is losing out tonight to Republican Chase Reynolds, 44% to 56%.
This is a very interesting race. Chase Reynolds, of course, the former Grizzly running back that went on to star in the NFL for the LA Rams. And Diane Sands, a longtime legislator from Missoula who held many different legislative leadership positions, but it looks like Chase Reynolds got the better of her tonight.
In the Great Falls area, we see Ed Buttrey. Oh, actually, we were at 0-0.
You know, we must be having some issues in Gallatin County, but this is an interesting race. House District 21, as we hit on some of the highlights. Ed Buttrey had been in the Senate and is trying to switch over to the House because he was term limited in the Senate, and it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. This is House District 28 here. This is, if I can find my notes on this.
Jacob Bachmeyer with 61% to Robert Silverston, 29%. Jacob Bachmeyer, a Democrat member of the Montana House of Representatives, who became the youngest state legislator in the United States in 2016 when he was 18 years old. He's now 20 years old.
Montana Senate District 32 here. We're still waiting for some numbers to come in on this race as well. You can see the candidates there, and we'll have a better idea of how they're doing once they get some votes tallied for us.
Senate District 24, a district solely here in the Billings area. This was a big race. Mary McNally, it appears if she's winning, 55% to 44%. Tom McGilvery.
And that was a big race. Two legislative veterans facing off. Here's another one, John Esp in the Bozeman area. Apparently with a big victory here, but we'll wait to see because a lot of these votes are coming from 2 or 3 different counties. John Esp moving from the House to the Senate. Dan Vermillion, a very well-known outfitter in the Livingston area, making his first run at political office, I believe.
Democrat incumbent Sheriff Leo Dutton's being challenged by Republican Jay Nelson, a sergeant with the Montana Highway Patrol. You can see Leo Dutton ahead by quite a bit with 71% of the vote at this hour.
This is the first contested sheriff's race in Lewis and Clark County in many years. And since they split out the sheriff and the coroner's office, Dutton has worked with the sheriff's office for more than 3 decades. He's been sheriff since he was appointed to the post in 2008. Cascade County also has a big race for sheriff and coroner there. This is not a legislative race, but still a lot of interest. But unfortunately, we can't show you the numbers yet.
No, not yet. And the race in Pend Oreille County for the Pend Oreille County Sheriff, 71%. Robert Skarupa, that's a big distance there with about 1,900 votes to about 750.
All right, as we continue to tally the votes for you here as we have our extended coverage, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back with more right after this.
Welcome back to Election Night coverage 2018.
That's right. We're staying up late because these races are getting tighter by the moment. Russ Riesinger is standing by with Jason Atkins from Montana State University Billings, and they've had some new numbers coming out of Gallatin County. Gentlemen.
Finally, we at least have something out of Gallatin County now. This is actually coming from the New York Times, not from our Secretary of State's website. New York Times a little bit ahead of them, but what's it showing here?
Well, it looks like John Tester has about 2,000 vote lead. He has 141,000 votes to about 139,000 for Matt Rosendale, so that works out about 49% to around 48%.
And the numbers so far from Gallatin County also showing Kathleen Williams winning there pretty handily.
Yeah, in Gallatin County we have 11 precincts in, and looks like she has about 56% of the vote in Gallatin County so far, compared to 42% for Gianforte.
All right, Jay, Janelle?
Much, Russ. Interesting. Finally getting some numbers from Gallatin County, shedding some light on that. Let's take a look at the U.S. Senate race now. Interesting that the New York Times is tracking ahead of our Secretary of State's office, and we'll find out from our analyst in a moment how that's doing. Right now, here of the Secretary of State of Montana showing that Matt Rosendale has now taken the lead over Senator Tester, 50% to 49%, 132,000, almost 133,000 votes for Matt Rosendale, 129,700 for John Tester. So, again, they said this is going to be tight. This is the first time we've seen Rosendale in the lead so far tonight.
But according to the New York Times right now,
the New York Times has it differently, and you say it's a bunch of new absentee votes that have just come in. Brandon?
Yeah, it looks like there's a good share that just came in Gallatin County, but I think they have quite a few more. The amount that just came in is a little shy of 20,000, and they had somewhere in the neighborhood of 40,000 absentees returned as of earlier this morning. So there are quite a few yet to see there.
We saw this in the primary as well. Jake, bring you in. The New York Times, how can they get numbers faster than the Secretary of State of Montana?
Well, like any good Republican, I got to say that, this is the private sector versus government. But no, really what it is, they've got stringers working at all these courthouses, and the elections officials are trying to count votes and upload into the Secretary of State system at the same time. So I think it's just a function of that they can get their folks to relay the information a little bit quicker.
The New York Times has been wrong in the past, too. I would like to point that out. So you can believe whoever you want to believe. But right now, this race is very, very tight. At one point, a couple of hours ago, it was a 15,000 vote lead for Senator Tester. But as those votes come in from all across the state, things have tightened up. And we just saw it flip in favor of Matt Rosendale moments ago. The New York Times, even tracking ahead of that, says that Tester now has a 2,000 vote lead. So you'll want to keep track of this with us as we stay up tonight.
Yeah, I think when you get in these close races, it's just about what numbers are coming in from where and who's counting what first, and so it's probably going to switch 3 or 4 times, I would guess, here in the next handful of hours.
Excellent.
In the meantime, we're going to head out to Jonathan Ambarian, who is at the Matt Rosendale campaign.
Well, we're here at the Delta Colonial Hotel in Helena, and just a few minutes ago we heard from Matt Rosendale what we kind of expected we might hear. It's going to be a long night, he told the crowd out here. Things have been getting tighter over the last couple of minutes, and they are expecting a late night for the results here. So Rosendale gave very brief remarks. He said it's been a long process, 12-month process, but that what he said is we're almost there. So he's out talking now with some of his supporters. Many people stayed here over several hours while we were waiting for results, and now it looks like we're going to be staying here a little while longer. So we'll be here as long as they're here, and we'll keep watching the results. In Helena, Jonathan Ambarian, MTN News.
All right, well, it's hurry up and wait night,
yes,
I think is basically what we're seeing here. Let's go, if we can, let's go at the Kathleen Williams, Greg Gianforte numbers if possible, because we haven't seen those for a while. Greg Gianforte was trailing in this race early on. Now it looks as if he's building a lead. Last check, about 7,000 votes. Here it is, 145. Oh, it's way bigger now, 54% to 44%. Those outlying counties that are reporting now going in a big way to Greg Gianforte, Jake, and that's probably not a surprise to you.
No, and I think that's, those early numbers coming in from some of those Democrat strongholds, kind of maybe gave the Williams folks a little false enthusiasm. And I've been on the other side of that, so I know how that goes. But yeah, I think as you see the numbers come in, Congressman Gianforte just keeps performing, very strong all across the state.
All right. We also have initiatives, 2 big initiatives, and both appear to be going down to defeat tonight. If we can look at Initiative 185, that, of course, the subject of all kinds of spending. The Montana Hospital Association has got behind this initiative, as did Governor Bullock. But it looks like Initiative 185, that was leading earlier, is going down by about 10% right now. 55% voting against Initiative 185, 45% in favor. And Initiative 186, the mining reclamation, also is going down to defeat, now by a 20% margin, 60% against and 40% in favor. I don't think those are much of a surprise. Our MTN analyst, Dr. David Parker, said, when in doubt, confuse the voters, and I think both sides got in on that play on both of these initiatives. But the voters have spoken. What do you think will happen in the legislature, Jake? Had Initiative 185 passed, you were thinking there was going to be an immediate challenge. In the legislature, we have 100,000 Montanans on this expanded Medicaid, and their future of their health care seems to be in jeopardy right now.
Well, I think you got 2 things. One, there's a huge question of whether this amendment was actually constitutional and whether you can appropriate money outside of the legislative process. I think that was a big hurdle for the proponents of 185 to get over. The other side of it is, when we started Medicaid expansion in Montana, the numbers were 50 to 60,000 people that would cover it, and it's just kind of exploded. And so it's this huge gorilla that nobody really knows how to pay for, and everybody's trying to figure out how to put the genie back in the bottle. And I think this initiative would have just made it worse by permanently expanding it. Fortunately, the legislators set a sunset clause, so they get to take another look at it this year.
And it's even more politicized now. Brandon, you met with us a couple days ago. You said you thought this initiative would pass.
I did, and I clearly it's not going that way tonight. There's still some time for it to tighten up, but it's not seeming to go that direction.
Why do you think things flip-flopped on that? Because many of the polls earlier showed it winning favor with the voters.
I think it is a lot to do with what you said just a moment ago, that when folks are confused, they often default to a no vote. And there was a lot of confusion. There were a lot of ads being run against this, paid for by these out-of-state tobacco companies. And at the end of the day, I think some folks didn't know what to think, and they defaulted to a no, unfortunately.
More than $20 million spent from those out-of-state tobacco companies.
Not just pocket change. It was a lot, yeah.
We had, here on the Montana Television Network, we asked our programming and traffic departments to come up with an estimate for us on how many political ads have been run on the MTN network since the June 6th primary. Want to venture a guess?
I heard the number earlier, so I don't want to cheat.
Okay, don't tell us. Want to venture how many ads?
Boy, I don't even know where to.
And that includes all our stations across the state.
Duplicative, right?
I mean, we got to be pushing, I would say, somewhere north of 1 million.
No, more like 58,000.
Just in our area, though.
Just in our area. That didn't include online and stuff. So we put all that together, and that's assuming their 30-second ad. So 58,000 ads since June 6th. It adds up to almost 20 days straight ads. So someone said, if you started today and started watching all those ads, Thanksgiving would get here and be passed before you'd be done watching.
Let's not.
Okay, let's not.
Say we did.
It was not a proud moment, I would have to say, for our state. This election really has left a sour taste in many people's mouths. And it's not over yet. The votes are still coming in. We're going to wrap it up, don't you think?
Going to bed.
About time. We're going to go to bed, but we'll be back Montana this morning, bright and early at 6 a.m. Hope you can join them then. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.